make my famous no packaging vegan stew. It's never the same twice.
No package.
Right. And so like these split peas I bought bulk in a bag that I brought myself. This stuff is not packaged. Like the nuts I get from bulk, everything I get from bulk. There's the turmeric, salt, cumin, peppers, and then this past summer I've been trying to go off the grid, and so I've been off the grid for a little while. Last time I had to put all the ingredients in, and then we went across the street to plug it in at the store over there, and they let us. But this past summer I've been experimenting, and I got this solar powered battery pack. Now I have to be a little careful because if I fill this up completely, it uses more power than this stores. So I have to put in not too much, not too little. So what works every time is, and usually, so I put in a legume, a starchy vegetable, something for a little sweetness, a green leafy vegetable, and so we got some, I brought some collards from the market, but I got this from here, so I think we're gonna use this stuff, and then nutritional yeast afterward. So nutritional yeast also from the bulk section of the store.
So can you give us a little bit of details on nutritional yeast, the nutrition and why you use it? Because I think a lot of people don't know about nutritional yeast.
Okay, so nutritional yeast is, it's pretty close to what turns milk into cheese. So to me it has a cheesy flavor. It's very high in protein and fiber, and so it's a yeast. It's, I mean, people have been eating it forever, but you can also just buy it. This one looks kind of like a powder, and I think the flavor is umami, but it adds a richness that if I don't put it in the stew, it's still good, but this, something gives it a lot more flavor. And so it's not, I mean, you can buy it online if it's not sold around here, but when I lived with my mom for a few months during the pandemic, I went to the store manager and said, where is it? And so that's how you get it to come. It's like they want to sell what people want to buy, but if you don't tell them, they don't do it. So it's increasingly available, and it's been used forever, but not many people know about it. I didn't know about it not that long ago.
Yeah.
So this is split peas, but I could use lentils, I could use black beans, I could use white beans, I could use dozens of kinds of beans, and it would be different. I could use this, but I could use carrots, I could use beets, I could use potatoes, I could use sweet potatoes. There's like dozens of this that I could use instead. And even within them, squashes, this is an acorn squash that I could use instead. And that would give it a different, each would give it its own flavor. And for the greens, so we're gonna have collard greens and we're gonna have some chard. But we could use cabbage, or we could use kale, or we could use broccoli. And again, each one would make it slightly different, but always nutritious, always easy to make. Now, and since I get what's in season, I have a whole bunch of, I'll have a whole bunch of collard greens. And then a little while after that, it'll be more Brussels sprouts and cabbage. Then I have to go through the lean months of the winter when I start to get the greens. That's when I use bean sprouts. So I could sprout beans and get greens out of that in the wintertime on my windowsill. And then in the spring, I start getting more lettuces. So what happens is, I'll have a certain type for a little while, and I don't get it again for 10 months, but I'm getting different ones all the time. So some people look at my stuff and think, oh, it's the same all the time, but it's different all the time. And I'm always, when I love something, it goes away, and I'm in anticipation for the next one, but then something new is coming in. So I'm gonna make it, and as it happens, I had some, so I also have this one from those leftovers from yesterday. So we'll have that to compare, because you'll see that it's the same formula, but different ingredients, and I think you wouldn't identify it as the same thing. So let's see. All right, so I'll put this in, and I have to eyeball it. How much? I brought in too much, but I got to put in not too much, so I don't have to. The more I put in, the more I risk. I don't measure. I really don't measure any of this stuff. Yeah, it looks like about that. I think this is a 6-quart pressure cooker, and so I just wing it all the time. now I got to cut. So this was just picked minutes ago, and I guess about, and all I do is chop and add. So I'm an uncle but not a father, but I think this is like, I think someone like 5 years old. I don't know what it's like these days. I think people are scared to give a 5-year-old a sharp knife, but I think that's healthy. But again, I'm not a father, so I don't know. But I think a lot of people, I was just telling you, a lot of people tell me, Josh, I don't have time to cook. And they've seen every episode of Game of Thrones.
Every episode what?
Of Game of Thrones. And I'm thinking, how would you rather spend time with your family? Watching TV or cooking? Because this saves money. I don't have a TV. I hope I don't sound too judgmental.
No, you do not.
Or self-righteous.
No.
So I could cut it in little tiny bits and it would disappear. Or I cut it into big chunks so that it has, you can still see it.
So you use it in the meal, you know?
Oh yeah. So when it one, I would eat it. Actually, this is a fruit. Like, I can eat not the peel. And I put this in cereal sometimes. And I eat the peel too. All these little experiments. I didn't know that. I just tried it.
Yeah, because I use squash, but I always peel
Cause what?
it. I use squash, but I always peel it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've made it a few times with the peel because I didn't feel like peeling it.
So they have one pumpkin that they peel. It's very hard. So even when you
Is
cook,
it like, I think that's the
Right.
there's one that's called acorn, I think.
well,
Or
I
cool,
don't
or
know. But it's very
something.
hard. Even
Very
you
hard.
cook it, it's still hot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pressure cook.
No. I'm talking about the skin.
There's
Cooking it because when you pressure cooking cooks things a lot more than boiling it or.
Boiling in the pasta.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see that this one has pumpkin in it. All right, and now, so this was just picked minutes ago.
I like to go out.
I don't do anything.
Yeah, right.
You can tell that to Miriam.
Tell me.
The bees?
Yeah.
That's done like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
She went straight for the high. That's why. She didn't know.
I don't know they were high there because
None of us did.
because the videos are supposed to be that side. I never go there. In the box, they were holiday.
at some point I'm going to do this with a professional chef, and they're going to tell me, Josh, you're doing everything wrong. I have no idea.
It's not TV worthy. It's not magazine worthy.
And I mean, I really just, all I know how to do is chop and add. I
Gets the job done.
yeah, there's no school, and like I haven't learned this.
What about the sofrito?
What?
What about the sofrito?
Sofrito? What's sofrito?
It's a Puerto Rican
Condiment
It's
with herbs.
all it is it's onion. Yeah. It's just the onions, the garlic.
It's like a staple of
Okay.
of Spanish culture seasoning.
That's what we season everything with.
But you know, I was partly teasing you.
Okay. Everyone's always teasing me. So I'm just gonna add a little more greens just because, I don't know, because I feel like it. So this is from the farmer's market.
What kind of greens are those?
This is collard, I think this is collard greens.
Oh, okay.
And you keep the stems.
Yeah, the pressure cooker can do the stems.
Yeah.
Same with carrots, I don't peel them. Potatoes, I don't peel them. And yeah, okay, so now I can just put in some water and cook it. So
Okay.
again, I'm just eyeballing it. I don't have to soak the beans overnight, but it reduces the cooking time a little, and I think it makes them a little softer. And especially with, actually I'm going to put in all the split peas. I think it'll make it. I brought these because they cook a little faster. But even with black beans, black beans and soybeans take the longest to cook, and they'll take like 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes cooking time.
He made a garbanzos last year, right?
I forget what it was. I
Yeah,
was trying to remember. I didn't want to bring the same thing twice.
Yeah, because they're pretty tough too.
Is that it, Josh?
Well, since they soaked overnight, then they don't need as much water. They've already absorbed as much water. I have to be careful because the water is what takes the energy to heat up.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of gauging this.
So what is that? It looks like a cup already.
What I want, I should have put the water in before I put the vegetables in, because I want to cover the legumes and a little bit more.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Roughly that.
Well, next time, now you know.
Yeah. There's like an order, like I'm not in my home right now, so it's like, oh, wait, am I doing it right? And then, now, all right, so I turn this on, and hopefully this will go there. Oh, I'm not plugged in. So I'll talk about the solar stuff and all that in a second.
Do you have one?
No?
Because that's what I use when we go back and forth. I'm like, I made the soup with this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, I
All right, so hopefully that's all it takes.
5 minutes, that's it?
Yeah, so
Really?
how many
Yes.
people use a pressure cooker regularly? All right, so I'm going to say a little bit about a pressure cooker. Do you know how they work?
I know how this one works.
So do you know the principles of it?
You
So
mean like, okay, go ahead.
if you take beans, if you take black beans, dried black beans, and put them in water, they'll just get wet. You can't eat them. I mean, they'll sprout eventually. So if you boil them, the water molecules, when they're hot, move around, and they could get into the bean and cook the bean. When you use a pressure cooker, it goes to higher temperatures and higher pressures, so the water molecules get faster, deeper in. So they cook beans, they cook everything much faster, and the flavors mix right away. And also, even when this is higher than boiling temperature, I can touch it everywhere, so it's very well insulated. So there's very little energy wasted.
Josh, you forgot to put in the seasoning.
So the seasoning I put in at the end.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay.
The spices could go in. It doesn't matter when, because they stay the same. Although we picked some spicy peppers and onions. Or garlic. I wouldn't put in first, because some of the pressure cooker makes the flavor go away. I think it just dissipates it all. So these are for toppings. So okay, let's get the toppings ready. So
Okay.
actually, if I just put in, if I just had this, it would be pretty good once cooked. And by the way, so what it's doing now is it's now heating it up, and at some point the water will boil and form steam. The steam will start getting the pressure inside here higher, and there's a little valve here that when the pressure gets high enough, it closes the valve, and then it starts
Cooking.
the timer. So it'll take about 15 minutes, 20 minutes for it to heat up. Then it starts the timer. It might take a little bit longer because it's chilly out and it's starting from a lower temperature. So we'll see at some point a little steam come out here, and then this little click noise, and then it starts. And it's possible that this runs out of energy first, because there's only so much energy in this, and it would suck if it doesn't. Then we'd have to go across the street and finish the job over there. Yeah, but hopefully I didn't put in too much.
That's interesting.
Now, you could put any mix of spices in with this. Like if you went in a basil direction or an oregano direction, that's one thing. Maybe you could go in a sofritos direction. I most commonly, turmeric I keep hearing about is super healthy. So I put turmeric in, and turmeric goes really well with cumin. So I put in some cumin. Smell it.
Turmeric.
And I see that you're using recycled
Yeah, so-
containers for your items because that's not a turmeric label, so that's awesome.
Right. So, I get the containers from
It's a
neighbors.
Curry one. It's a, what
So it's this glass?
Cumin and coriander, I think,
Yeah.
are the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Es que le pone cumin.
Oh, okay.
And then I hear that turmeric on its own is super healthy, but when you mix it with pepper, it's yet more healthy.
Mm.
So I used to put in just pepper. Oh, I can just throw this on the ground, right?
Yes, you can. You look at that.
So I could put in pepper, but I love crunching into a peppercorn because it gets all the flavor right there. So I put peppercorn in, and then I put in a little salt. When I serve this at home, I don't know if you guys have done this. I went for 1 month without salt to anything, and then when I put salt on the amount I used to, I was like, ah.
Yes.
So now I put in a little bit of salt, and I have to put it on the counter when someone eats at home because they always put in more salt. And then if I taste it, I'm like, whoa, way too much salt.
Uh-huh.
So I'll leave the salt out for people to put in more. But those are like, that's my usual. Yeah, this is sea salt from the, I bought in bulk in a bag and then put it in a container. And
So literally everything.
everything's bulk. I don't get anything not in bulk.
So, in regards to your vegan stew, could you just give a little breakdown as to? Because I know you spoke about the nutritional yeast,
Uh-huh.
but you didn't tell them how this benefits a vegan. Because some vegans don't get vitamins B12.
Oh, so usually since mostly vegans buy this stuff, meat eaters don't really buy so much of it. Usually it has B12 added to it because B12 doesn't come in a vegan diet. I actually went to the doctor, and the doctor said, I don't get this for the B12. I get it. I put in for the flavor, and she was like, she says whatever you're supplementing for B12, have less of that because you have too much B12 in your diet. I'm like, when does a vegan have too much B12? So some of it has B12 added, some of it doesn't. This does have B12 added. So I never have to worry about B12.
Mm-hmm. I used to take B12 and I stopped because of what you said last year. I was like, wait, I have this already. So I just started dousing it on everything, and now my B12, my B vitamin levels are perfect.
Oh, do you have a spoon I could use?
Sure. I haven't used this one.
All right, so
It helps also with the nervous system.
I just put in by eye, like something like that looks like a good amount,
Okay.
just from experience.
So you're gonna use all of the nutritional yeast in this stew.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be a little much, but
I love it.
and then I mean, there's no wrong amount.
Mm-hmm.
If I put in 0 of the cumin, it would still be good.
What is that you just added?
Cumin.
Oh, that's
I cook that one when I use it for the beans and everything because they say not give us swallow belly. I don't know if you use it for that, but that's what I use
Good
it
to
for.
know, Medium. I didn't know that.
So the salt.
The gas and that's good.
Whoa, partner, that's a bit too much there.
Oh yes. Nah, I don't like
but
that.
I don't want to.
I always have to take it out.
Since it's mostly oily for reddish.
Oh yeah, I used to put in extra virgin olive oil,
Mhm.
and then I tried it with a little less and a little less and a little less, and I was like, I just didn't put it in, and I was fine.
Okay.
Now for toppings, I brought all these nuts.
Okay.
So plenty of, and now I don't buy avocados, but I get them from when I do the volunteering stuff, and avocados can be really good in here.
Oh God.
Either chunks or just mix it in to make it a little creamier. So I'm not like getting too little fat in my diet. And should I tell you how I get free nuts?
Yes.
So I don't shop at Whole Foods, but Whole Foods has their the bulk stuff. So you put a bag in and you fill it up.
Yeah.
A lot of times, 2 things happen. One is people will, I guess they fill up the bag and they're like, oh, maybe I won't. And they leave a bag full of almonds just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
They throw that out. They can't sell that.
Mm-hmm.
I take it.
So how do you get it though? Do you say someone
You go
left
to
it
the
there?
manager
Like
and say,
how do you?
I bring a bag, like
Plastic bag.
my own
Wrap
bag.
it up.
I put it in my bag so I'm not using their bag, and I just walk out.
Really? But wouldn't a manager say, hey, what are you doing?
Actually, the other day,
Oh,
a security
you
guy
can
came
say
up to me
that.
and was like, he was trying to help me. He was thinking I was trying to do something different. I was like, you guys threw this away, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I'm eating them. He goes, all right. And he smiled.
There
I was
you
like,
go.
okay. Here's a place where I might have white privilege that might give me an advantage that others don't have.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, me
I'm gonna
too.
camp
now
out
some
at the
people
bulk
might-
section.
now I do not go in and get bulk stuff. I only get stuff that's in the trays. So
Oh.
I'm not, it's only stuff that would have been thrown away. I'm not gonna, I don't want to increase demand. And I don't want to spend money at Whole Foods because Jeff Bezos is not, he just wants to extract value from everywhere.
Okay.
I have some nuts if you want. And so to top it off, I like to,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I'm gonna, when this stuff comes out, you guys, hopefully we have bowls for everyone.
I brought my own bowl. I get a
There's
star
extras
for
just in
that.
case. It was in the email.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Sorry.
So I top it.
Well, he did. He.
You know
Yeah,
what?
we could share.
We can
I
do
ha-
this.
Yeah.
I have a bowl there. I have a bowl.
So vegetables like this or cucumber. Sorry, I had to eat that.
That's okay.
The juice is the best part.
Yeah, it looked like a good part.
Hey, Josh, can you cut a little piece of bread for me, please, so I
Yeah.
can get some honey?
Oh yeah, I'd like
Oh, I
to
forgot to
too
put
with
in-
some olive oil.
I can put in a little grain too.
Okay.
Just olive oil if you want.
Ooh.
The top
Honey,
is the cone.
get for me.
I forgot. I brought some.
Let me see.
So I found out that if I put in grains, so this happens to be buckwheat, but it could be. I'm sorry. This is barley, but it could be buckwheat, it could be whole wheat, it could be just any grain.
I had to put it in
And-
water before they.
All right, I'm gonna do it really quick. So that adds, it changes the nutrition. It adds a little more fiber, a little more some whole grains. So this is also from bulk. And barley's like $1 a pound, $2 a pound.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
This is probably, the beans are $2 a pound. Well, this stuff is over here. I mean, this is almost a free meal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm chopping up the stuff to top. So it goes nuts and whatever seasonal vegetables. So I'll chop up the tomato and a couple peppers. And then when we fill up the bowls, we just put the stuff on the top. And that way it's both cooked but also fresh. And it's whatever vegetables are in season. So it's constantly changing.
Nature.
Yeah. I love it. So I'll chop these into smaller bits.
That was some commercial stuff right there.
Who likes spicy? Does everyone like spicy?
I'm gonna try some spicy.
Thank you that. That's all right.
All right, so that's basically all. I'll chop some onions too.
And the garlic.
I didn't bring garlic, but garlic is good to add too. And I just chop it. I don't
We
cook
got
it.
garlic
I
here.
have full, just straight garlic cloves.
We got a garlic. So you add it later. You put other pieces of garlic.
Yeah, the garlic I add. I also put garlic straight on salads. Any preference between white or red? Red. Usually color means more nutrition.
Would you like some garlic? I have
okay.
some garlic.
If people want it.
Oh, wait, I gotta do a pan for video.
It's great. Actually, my parents met in India. They were both students. Or my mom was teaching English, my dad was getting his degree. And this is in the 70s. And the story was that everybody had a garbage disposal in India. A garbage disposal. I mean, here we put it in the sink. But there you just throw it out the window and a goat eats it.
Yeah.
Anything other than like a metal can, and they anything they eat.
Look, he's coming for what you threw back there. He's paying attention. He always say he.
So- And onions are also year-round, and they're super healthy. So I can always get onions, even in the you know, even the coldest month of the winter or March. And when there's no tomatoes and no peppers, it just means more onions. And they're also super colorful. And I recommend people generally, when I say put on some onions, they put on what they think is the right amount, and it's never the right amount. It's usually, you won't go wrong putting triple what you think is the right amount. I think the nutritional yeast kind of
Diagonally you bring.
makes the flavor all right.
I thought you bring.
was that just pulled out of the ground?
Oh, the chives.
The chives.
Oh,
He
they're
said,
from
and
here.
the garlic? Yeah, look at that, Josh.
I harvest it and I dried it.
Shazam.
Garlic is one of my favorites.
So because I'm talking to you guys, I'm doing this much more slowly. So people often ask, how much time do you spend cooking? And it's a funny answer because if I'm by myself, I'm not doing all this talking. So if I'm by myself, I do this in like much faster. And then I started cooking and I just go do my thing. But usually I just have, I mean, this is gonna feed, there's 5 of us here, or 2, 4, 5, 6 of us here. But for myself, I'll get several meals out of it. So I only cook once every other day. Or when the power's on and I can fill it all the way, then I can cook once and I'm good for 2 or 3 days. So the next meal is like 30 seconds prep time. So the answer is, when there's people over and I want to make it social, I take longer to cook. But when no one's around and it's just me, I take much less time to cook. So it's very flexible. Because I find this, can you guys smell it?
I smelled it when you opened it.
So, I mean, it's a very social thing. And it's, I mean, the idea of meeting 6 people out at a restaurant, to me now, is so backwards. Because here, there's interaction doing this is colorful. There's no one coming by and trying to hurry us out to, you know, get their tips, and there's no one trying to, it's not loud.
What you experience with
It's
the
not-
water?
Eating out is just the cost benefit.
Water
is
have it in
terrible
it.
now. And so people get annoyed with me because I go out and sometimes I'll sit there and not order anything because I want to be with the people. But this is so much, and I never cooked before, so I didn't know that this was available. And I can feed, I can invite 5 people over to my place and feed all of us for less than the appetizer I would pay for
Yes.
just me at a restaurant, let alone the tip. Last time I ate at a restaurant, I was like, they were like, get something. I was like, fine, I'll get a salad, right? So then they're all ordering wine and stuff like that. So when the bill comes, it's equal around.
I don't
paid
think so.
$65 for a salad that was so substandard, so much worse than this. And we don't know how to cook as a society. Like, we've forgotten these things. So, all right, now this is cooking. This is
I
ready.
smell it now.
Smells good.
You smelling it? Okay.
So the prepping time also takes a lot of time too. Cutting it and
Well, that's what, I mean, you saw me do it.
Yeah, but that's pretty like.
Yeah.
I'm a little faster at home, and let's see. Oh, I'll chop up the garlic tip. So actually, I'm gonna go into my. So when this is ready, I'll open it up, put in this, stir it up. I could. Sometimes I put in a little more greens afterwards, so that if I put it in here, it gets very cooked. If I don't put it in, if I put it in later, it's a little more raw. So I might chop up a little more to put it in to get a mix. You can put things in at the beginning so they get fully cooked. When it's done, so it gets kind of like if when it's done, I put in spinach. Spinach cooks so fast. I don't put in spinach at the beginning, but like celery I'll put in at the beginning, or cabbage I put in at the beginning. But I can also put in some at the end. So you can see. I don't know if you can see the steam coming out.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
And all right, so now I'm going to talk about some stuff, because my goal in coming here. What's my goal in coming here?
To teach us how to live more sustainably.
Can you be more precise?
It's more healthy.
To reduce our energy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So here are my top 2 goals in coming. My 0th goal, my top goal is I fucking love Drew Garden. Like nature in general, and Drew Garden is special Because so many people tell me what one person does doesn't matter. Individual action doesn't matter. If that were the case, this would not exist. And yet, I put Drew Garden up with Central Park as one of the jewels of New York City. I love this place. And so just to come up here is amazing. If you believe that individual action doesn't matter, you wouldn't be in Drew Gardens, and Drew Gardens wouldn't exist. None of the great historical, cultural shifts would exist. But number one, I want more farmers markets. I want farmers markets up here. I want farmers markets everywhere. Everyone tells me, Josh, they don't have access up there. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Are we just going to accept it, or are we going to do something about it? And if people, but I've been in farmers markets in the Bronx where people are walking right past it, beautiful vegetables, and they walk right into McDonald's. So I want farmers markets to displace McDonald's, displace Starbucks, displace all the stuff that's selling packaged garbage, and walk outside these gates. And how much plastic is on the ground? All of that package is either packaging from some unhealthy, I won't even call it food, you know what I call it, doof. Or it's packaging from like deliveries, but it's mostly from things that people put in their mouths. I want none of that. I want more of this. I want to increase demand so people know it's really easy. Just any vegetable, just throw it in there, and it works. It always works. I've never had one of these fail.
The kids no want no babies. No.
Yeah, it kills me. So that's number one. Number two is I want people to have a feeling of, with regard to the cooking and also with what I talk about going off the grid, I want people to have a reaction, you can do that? I want to try. So I want you to feel like I want to try. So that just the thing just went up. So hopefully soon it'll go from on to 5.
One of that you should do it to the school with all the kids. Come, one group of the kids, come and with all the veggies. They eat it. So they practice.
So
nobody they don't want it in the house.
Well, I'm training you guys so that we can all do that. So that we all.
Okay.
This is about
when
leadership.
we have a baby, it's
That's
okay.
right.
We feed them everything, but when they are big, they don't want it.
So did you just volunteer to go to school and teach?
We can go a group.
Great.
If we go to a group, and we can go, no problem.
So, and it's also
We
not
have a school there.
So that's where you're gonna go?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We started one.
Oh, so I'm gonna jump to
With
what
a
I was gonna say
teacher.
later. Last year, when I wasn't looking, people went around and collected a little money and gave me some money. Here's what I will not accept money, but here's what I will accept. If we set up a group email of the people here, and people email that they've done things like the following. They've unplugged their fridge for a week. They've unplugged their whole apartment for one day, for 24 hours. I did that. That was an early experiment of mine. Could I unplug my entire apartment? Because I got one circuit for the whole thing. And I disconnected for 24 hours, and it was a great 24 hours. If you unplug your fridge and you got stuff, what are you gonna do with the stuff? Like, I'll tell you the story later, but I unplugged it and I had to quick figure out what to do, and that's how I learned to ferment. I had some oranges in the freezer because the school nearby me was getting rid of a bunch of oranges. I'm like, what do I do with all these frozen oranges? Because they're unfreezing, they're melting. And now I would know I'd make chutney out of them, but I had some vodka, so I just threw them in the vodka. So good. So they have orange flavored vodka. Don't get that. Get regular vodka and just throw oranges in. It's that easy. Throw in lemons or whatever. Okay.
Need a wine too.
And if someone here takes steps, to organize a farmer's market or a CSA or a co-op to be up here, that'll be so much more valuable than cash to me. Because, do you guys ever shop at co-ops? When I was a kid growing up, my parents helped with people around. There was a small group of people that got together, and they would take turns driving down to the food distribution center and buy for 10 at once. So one person every 10 weeks would go down and be the one who would drive down there. But because they're buying in large quantity and they're picking it out, so they're getting better quality, and it's only one person at a time doing it, so it's cheaper. And that eventually grew into, in Philadelphia, there's a co-op called Weaver's Way, which is like a pillar of the community.
Yeah.
And I saw it happen. Then I will accept if someone has an unlimited Metro card and wants to swipe me to go home, I'll accept that.
Okay.
But only if it's unlimited Metro card. And then if someone goes without packaged food for a day, well, a day's too easy, a week or a month, I'd love to hear about that. That would be very rewarding to me, more valuable than cash.
When you say packaged food, what do you refer to?
If there's something that goes in the trash that will take a long time to decompose, that. So
Give me an example.
Wonder
a bag
Bread.
of chips, yeah,
Wonder
bread
Bread.
in a
Really anything, right?
This
Yeah,
is-
anything.
anything.
When you think about it,
This
everything
bread-
is
I don't buy
packaged.
Wonder Bread, and I don't buy any of that stuff, so that's why I want to know what to do.
So like these came from bulk, but they also sell them in bags. That bag is garbage. That bag is pollution.
The bag itself.
Yeah. So so it's challenging in a bodega. I mean, they might have a couple of bananas and an apple by the counter. Everything else is packaged.
Right,
Bottled water, packaged.
right,
In fact, most of the supermarket is packaged.
right.
Now, if you want to get really technical, you could say the sticker on an apple. So if you go to farmers markets, they don't have stickers. So now I want to go into what brought me to this. That about 10 years ago, I didn't know how to cook. I mean, I knew how to cook, but I'd open a jar of pasta sauce in a container of dried pasta. I'd boil the pasta, put some sauce on. Maybe if I felt like really going all out, I'd fry up some, I don't know, some zucchini or broccoli with some garlic and onions and put that in the sauce. But that's all I knew how to do. So probably every meal I ever prepared on my own, or ever ate on my own, came from packaged food. And if you ask me then, I would say, yeah, there are environmental problems, but what one person does doesn't matter. Only governments and corporations can make a difference. And so I felt helpless and hopeless and also guilty. And so this one particular day, I was actually staying at my sister's for a little bit, that I saw her cooking from scratch a lot. And I realized I could do that, but I didn't yet do it until I looked at my garbage and I saw how much packaging there was in the garbage. So it was,
How old were you about?
this was 10 years ago, so it would have been early 40s. And when we were kids growing up, it was, we were latchkey kids. So when we came home, there was a little note that our parents left, whose turn it was to cook that day and what recipe was there. So we cooked, but it was never really from scratch. And so I look at my garbage and I see how much garbage, and at that time, I'd use the usual shopping bag like that size. I'd fill one of those about every week, and I'd throw it out every week. And I looked at the garbage and I thought, well, maybe I can't fix all the world, but I can take responsibility for this, because whether or not I've changed anything else, this I am responsible for. So I asked myself, could I go for a week without buying any packaged food? And I didn't know if I could. And I started wondering, like, what would I do? What would I do each day? Because I can't get pasta, I can't get a jar, I can't get bags of stuff. So I let myself finish what was in my cupboards. That wasn't buying anything new. And actually there was this one moment when I went to the store, a few days in, I finished everything I had. And I, like on autopilot, I just went to the shelf where I would normally start. And I look up and I realize, like, I'm gonna get what I normally get. I'm like, for the first time I'm seeing not the food that I'm thinking about getting, but I'm actually seeing the jars, the cans, the boxes, the bags, the stickers, the rubber bands. And so there's actually this moment, which was like a pretty big life moment, when it hits me that I don't know what to do. I got super education behind me, and I can't eat. I can't live without hurting people. And this is a very humbling realization. And so I'm looking at this like, what do I do? But I'm also hungry because I went shopping because I was hungry. And so I'm like, I gotta do something. So I go over to the produce aisle and I'm like, this is what I got. So it's cauliflower or whatever. I just get it. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I go to the bulk section and I got dried beans for the first time in my life. Because I went to the bulk section before. So I was allowing myself to bring my own bags and refill my own bags. So I used to get dried fruit and nuts, grains from there.
From where?
This was a health food store near me that's now out of business. And so I got dried beans for the first time in my life. So I go home, and I chop up the vegetables, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I put them in, I had a rice cooker that also steamed vegetables, so I steamed them. And I also was like, I guess I just put the beans in water and turn on the boil. And I boiled, I'm not proud, but in my 40s, I boiled beans for the first time in my life. And so that began a period of the week, but I continued after that of really I was just having, first I was boiling beans on the stove, and then I realized the rice cooker would cook them and I could just press the button and not think about it. Okay, so now it's starting.
Now it's done.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah, I was watching the numbers.
All right, so right now the pressure is still very high, so it's locked. It won't let me open it. So I could let the pressure out, but I'll let it go for a little bit and let it cook a little bit more and let the flavors mix a bit more. So anyway, I started cooking. I started making stuff, and I gotta say the first few months of it was really just steamed vegetables on beans. It wasn't glamorous, but I started mixing things around, and then I started learning about pressure cookers, and I bought a pressure cooker used off of Craigslist. So it was like $30. And then I realized the pressure cooker did everything faster and used less energy. So, and then after about 6 months, I got this formula down and started inviting people over, and still people come over and I'd get some misses and people like, this is terrible. But I stuck with it, and eventually it started getting really good. And then I started getting invited to host events at like I did a Lululemon, I did Earth Day, I did this with them, and some things like that. Now, the physical, okay, so now my food costs less, it's healthier, it tastes better, after practice. What took time wasn't, cooking doesn't take more time. Not knowing how to cook is what takes time. When I learned how to cook, now some people might say, well, maybe some things other than stews and salads. I'm like, I like it. I'm not bored with it yet, because every 10 months I'm waiting for it to come back in season. So to me, it's a huge variety. And the bigger thing was the mental shift, because I started realizing, why did I think this was going to be bad? What else has society told me? Like, I thought all these chefs trained. Now I go to restaurants, salt, sugar, fat. They just want to take salt, sugar, fat and put on a huge pile of rice. I don't want the rice. I can cook rice at home, but that's cheap. So they're trying to get me, they want profit. So restaurants to me are by and large, they want to profit off of giving me, they want to give me salt, sugar, fat on rice or pasta and load me full of bread. But I want the vegetables. So, and also, they may learn the chefs to make really great stuff, but it's not there. I don't like the restaurant experience that much anymore. So I thought, what else is like that? And I thought flying is something that I felt maybe the mental shift applies there too. So this was a couple years after the experiment of avoiding packaged food, and I still stuck with it. So now I have a tote bag it's bigger than that. The size of a canvas tote bag. That's what I use in my trash bag, because my compost is the wet stuff, so it's the dry stuff. When was the last time I emptied my garbage? It used to be weekly. Guess when the last time it was that I emptied my garbage?
For your dry stuff?
Yeah.
A year ago?
2 years ago.
month.
1 year, 1 month, 2 years, 3 months. On Christmas Day, it'll be 3 years. 1 load of trash.
What?
And most of that is from the first year or two, because I'm getting with practice. So people are like, what's in it? And I'm like,
Can I get a high five?
Yes.
I do that with my little guys.
so now when someone, like, they offer me this, and I'm like, all right, I'll take it. But I'm thinking, what about that? Oh, actually, can you reuse this for someone else?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So every little bit, I'm like keeping track of. I'll let you.
Yeah, I realized that too with like even bags like this, unnecessary branding that probably causes
I've
some
never
type of
said
damage.
That bag over there,
They're gonna put me out because
That's what I bring to shop with?
everything.
and that bag I bought in the 90s. It works. I was like, a week without package, so can I go a week without flying? That's trigger. A month without flying, also trigger. So I thought, can I go for a year without flying? And when I thought it, part of me thought, well, I gotta try. And another part of me thought, like, ugh, like my heart leaped out, because at that time I thought flying is necessary. How can I live without flying? How can I be a citizen of Earth without exchanging cultures? What about all my loved ones that live far away? And yet, I also thought, am I trying to live by my values or not? Because I saw this video that showed that flying, this guy was a British guy. He said flying from London to LA and back was roughly 1 year's worth of driving in terms of what it did to the climate. And there's a lot more than that because you're displacing people from their land to get at what's underneath, all the wildlife destruction and things like that. So I said, all right, I'm gonna go for a year without flying, see how it goes. And like a week later, my sister says, hey Josh, I got round trip tickets to Tokyo and bring the family there, $800. I'm like, that's really cheap, round trip to Tokyo. I thought, maybe I'll start after I get back. I thought, no, I'm not trying to do this or not. So that was my first thing that I skipped.
Wow.
And
That was hard.
yeah, and within a couple months, I got to where all the stuff that I got from flying, I get without flying, more. So last time I flew was 2016. There's very little chance I'm ever gonna fly again. It's just disgusting to me now. I look at, even if planes didn't pollute, we were talking about Robert Moses earlier. You guys all know about Robert Moses? What cars do to cities, airplanes do to nations. It just spreads us out, cuts us off from each other. It makes flyover country. The term flyover country to me is absolutely disgusting. To think that this is, oh, Nebraska, that sucks. That's not worth even visiting. Anyway, I could go on about flying. So that was, now I've done not just the mindset shift, but this, now I realize on what I would now describe as a path of continual improvement. I'm expecting that the next experiment is going to make my life better, not worse. Because twice on huge things, food and flying, I thought for sure these would be shit shows. I thought for sure this would make my life worse, and yet it made it better. So the next thing was I was one day reading an article about, it was about Vietnam in particular, but other places don't refrigerate as much as we do. So I thought, I'm sitting there reading it about how they ferment a lot and they have a different food system. So it's a lot more fresh and a lot more fermentation and people use stuff faster. So I'm sitting there and I look at my fridge and I realize this is the thing that's using the most power in my life right now. So I asked myself, I wonder how long could I unplug the fridge? And I'd learned from experience, analyzing and planning just delays. So I think, what do I do? How would I make it through? And I think that's in analyzing and planning. And before I could stop myself, I went over and just unplugged the fridge. So I kept the door closed to keep the cooler in there, to like keep the stuff in as long as I could. The stuff in the freezer, I chopped up the peels and all, went in the vodka. And then find out how to ferment. Now that happened to be December 2019, so it's December, so I could use the windowsill as a makeshift fridge. So I made it 3 months with the fridge unplugged. But then the pandemic started and I went out of town. So I might have made it longer, but the following year I started in November and I'd fermented a bit and was learning to shop differently. So that year I made it 6.5 months, which is to say till, I think it was, November 6.5, what's that, April, May, something like that. And as the weather got warmer, it was harder for me, but I also knew Vietnam is hot and wet, so they're not using the windowsill like I was in the winter. So I knew that hot, it shouldn't be a problem. It's just I wasn't used to it. So I made it 6.5 months, and then it was really hot, so I plugged it back in. But I said, all right, the next year, which was last year, I started in September 30th. So I could say I started in September, even though it's like really October. And I made it, so I said I'm gonna go for 8 months, so a little bit longer. But I'm on this path of continual improvement. So as it gets into the spring, then another thing kicks in. So hold that thought, and let me go back to something that's been happening in parallel. My electric bill has now, all right, there's $18 I can't do anything about. That's just having a connection with Con Ed means I get $18 I can't do anything about. But the other part, for my actual electricity use, my bills are coming down to like $2 a month. So once it hit about $2 a month, I started thinking, can I go to zero? Because the fridge, with the fridge unplugged, there's not a whole lot that I'm using it for. So I put on my blog, does anyone out there know solar? And no one wrote back. So it's kind of on my mind, can I go for a month with 0 kilowatt hours on my electric bill? So I'm thinking about that. And I don't know anything about solar. So I just go into Craigslist and I start looking for used stuff, and I find a panel and I found the battery, and so I bought them not knowing what would work and what wouldn't work. And so one day, if I try to charge this in my apartment, I don't have a whole lot of direct light. So I have to go up to the roof of my building. Now, if I take the elevator, it's going to be so I'm walking up the 11th floor, I'm walking on the 11th floor. When I put it on the roof, it charges in about 4 hours. It's bright sun. Clouds, it goes a little slower. But I only learned that by getting this. So on May 22nd, I had this fully charged. I made a stew, and I thought to myself, when should I start? Like, because I wanted to, my billing cycle is from the 7th of the month to the 7th of the month. So it was the 22nd, so I thought, should I wait till the 7th? I don't know, like I know that I cooked the thing here, but what about my computer? What about the floor lamps? I didn't know. And then I realized, analyzing and planning. And then I realized, I guess I just started. I'll start can I make it a month? And as far as I knew, I couldn't make it, I didn't know how to make it more than 2 days. So I was May 22nd, and I just kept going. And I'm now in month 5. I had no idea. It turns out this is woefully underpowered, but I'm making it work. I'm figuring out how to do it. The mindset is way more valuable here than this. Because then in July 20th, July 21st, both the battery and the panel broke. I didn't know that until I trouble fixed it. And I thought, well, now I don't have any power. So I was ready to give up, or to declare victory and say, okay, I made it 2 months. And so if you go to my podcast and look at on my July 22nd one, it says, after I finish recording, I'm gonna reconnect the circuit, get back on a Con Ed, cook some lunch. But after I stopped recording, I looked at my counter and I said, well, I got some sauerkraut here. It wasn't sauerkraut, it was kale, but fermented kale. And I had some vegetables, and I thought, well, I can make another meal. I can maybe I got enough for another few meals here. And so I thought, all right, I'll go maybe the 23rd or 24th. And I made it 2 months, I think a month and a half, 2 months, with zero, not even this. I do have one cheat. I allowed myself, I teach at NYU, so I could go to the NYU and plug in my computer and my phone. But not this, not anything else. So I could use the computer and phone there. But otherwise I made it a month and a half, not even with solar. Which is why when people say, oh, what are the kilowatt hours on that, or what's the wattage on that? First, I had no clue what that meant. When I bought them, I had no idea. I just bought it, and the only way. So I'm not promoting solar. I'm promoting the idea that you can get to less and less and less and less. Because I'm down like 99% from what it was when I was flying. And I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty healthy.
Con Ed is gonna call you and tell you why you do that?
Con Ed
How
hasn't
you
bothered me
do
yet.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they wanted you pay much.
They probably figure I'm out of town. I don't know. But I'm small
Then
potatoes
when
for
you say
them.
you stole it from another apartment. Because like that, when you coming down, they don't want that. They
Yeah.
want you to pay more.
I would suspect that for them to pay my attention to me would be not worth their time. But actually, my building's a co-op, and if I asked them, could I do, like, this is portable, so I carry it up and take it down when I go down. But if I could put a permanent one up there, that would help. But if I went to them without having done it myself, they'd probably say, oh, the co-op board doesn't allow anything. They really slow things down. But they've seen me up there with this, various board members of the building, and they're asking me all these questions about it, like, what do you do this? So they see that I'm doing it. So if I say, can we put a permanent one up there to do what I've been doing for 6 months, that's a very different question than can we do it from scratch. So I think there's a chance that, and then if I could have one permanent, even if I can't get the wiring down in my apartment, I could still have 2 batteries and put one up there and charge it, and have one down there and use it, and then carry one up and carry one down. It'd be like, cut down the number of trips I have to take. Because I'm 51 years old and going up and down 11 flights, plus I hurt my knee in the middle of it. That's another thing, the mindset. My knee was hurt, it was inflamed, but I was like, my ancestors, they had to hunt, they had to dig stuff out, they had to climb the trees. They weren't like, oh, poor me. So I just walked more slowly. So that's my process of continual improvement. There's absolutely no way, if someone had said to me at the beginning, before I did that week off of voting packaged food, if someone had said, hey Josh, if they'd suggested to me a voting packaged food for a week, I'd be like, why bother? I would have told them, what one person does doesn't matter. If someone had said, here's the path that you're going to take, and here's where you're going to end up, I'd be like, no way. I would never feel. If someone gave me the recipe for this, I would never do it. This is a discovery. That's why I'm not giving you a recipe. I'm telling you, my path, maybe your path, but I can't say do what I did, but I can say follow the process that I followed, because you're going to get there. You'll do for you what works for you. I'd be happy to learn that you pass me by like I'm standing still, because it took me 10 years to reach disconnecting the whole apartment. I should say that there was that 24-hour time, and a friend was coming with us, so we just went and rode our bikes for most of the day, because no computer. Worked very well. But maybe, I hope that you guys think, I can unplug my apartment, and you can skip the 10 years in between that it took me to learn all that stuff and practice all that stuff. I want to be a role model, but not prescriptive, but descriptive. Oh, now it's open. See, I know the sounds.
Yeah.
It's like Pavlovian. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I could do. Any questions?
The panel, would you not be able to put that like outside the window?
I thought about that. My window, I thought about hanging it out the window. Making a thing outside the window probably wouldn't work. I do see some air conditioners sticking out. So I was thinking about that, but a permanent installation I didn't want to take on that risk just yet. And this is pretty big. Like when I have it up on the roof and there's wind, it can get blown around. So this is like a sail. So I don't want to. Other people could do that maybe, but I can't. But most people don't have to go up and down 11 flights. If you live in a 3-story building and you have access to the roof, or if you don't have access to the roof, you can talk to the super and get access to the roof.
Where we can get them?
So this I got used off of Craigslist.
Where?
I get used off of Craigslist.
It's a website, Miriam.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I mean, you can go online and buy them.
Everything is computer.
I don't know. I mean, look up solar panels. I just get the first one I got was used off of Craigslist. This one was from doing a workshop, and the place they bought one because there were a lot of people, so I brought my own and they bought one. And when it was done, they were like, take it. So this is free.
Oh, that's awesome.
This was also used off of Craigslist, but actually both of these have been replaced by the manufacturer.
See?
All right, Tommy.
Okay.
All right, so let's see.
I get the old ones and put it in
Oh, they can use more water.
Yeah, I could probably use a little more water. So if I put water, oh no, it's got water in there.
Oh, wow, look how wonderful.
So now I'm gonna put this stuff in, and the yeast absorbs a bit of the water too, so it'll make it a little more thicker.
Curious, what do you teach at NYU?
Leadership mostly leadership, but sometimes entrepreneurship.
So that has to do with business.
Yeah. Well, that's what they think. But I teach a very experiential course. So leadership is much more about developing social and emotional skills that are valuable outside, not just business.
About 5 years now, when my brother had given me the idea was about plugging the refrigerator,
Yeah.
and I was just sick of it. It just got me I was just tired and angry that I was paying all this money to Con Edison. So he told me I can purchase one in Home Depot. So I got this little timer and I put it on the timer of the refrigerator. So then I kind of like, when I do my groceries, like since I'm a vegetarian, I buy a lot of greens, so I make it last longer. Before, my greens would last not even 4 days because it would go bad. So now I'm able to stretch it a little longer with that timer and the refrigerator, and then I'll shut the refrigerator down. So it automatically does that. So I save a little bit of money, and I've noticed the difference. And then I go around the apartment unplugging like the timer, my clock, or the TV, or the fan, or little things like that, the lamp in the apartment. I don't have overhead lighting in the apartment, so I have to plug everything because I live in Parkchester. In Parkchester, you have to plug everything to the wall. So I started unplugging things that I've noticed that I'm saving money on my Con Edison. And then I felt guilty because I was like, how about if I get investigated by Con Edison? You know, like, what am I doing? You know, like, how is this guy saving all this money? Well, you know, people travel, and people, you know.
Yeah,
so I felt a certain way.
I hope you felt more independent.
Yes.
Because we learned dependence, and it's
Yes.
we have these beliefs that, like, if we don't, I don't know, all these things that we don't have to do. Okay, so
last year, when you did